Welcome to another episode of the Camouflage Addiction Podcast. I'm your host, Jake Cline. Today we're going to be talking to Jeff Vander Heiden, owner of Buck Fever Seed Company. He's the guy that is going to get you set up with all your food plot needs. Contact him and he'll be able to help you out as far as, you know, what kind of seed you're going to need, when to plant it, how big to plant it, how much you're going to need, that kind of stuff. So we're going to talk to him a little bit about that today, along with talking about his successful year this year. He shot a really big buck he calls bobtail. Video of that buck is on Buck Fever Seed Company's YouTube channel. Get on there and check that out. Partners other than Buck Fever Seed Company, Coyote Cords, Travis. He's a good dude. Make sure you get a hold of him to get your coyote cord, your coyote drags. We can also make you some turkey holsters, squirrel, whatever it is that you might need. Predator Hunter Outdoors, you can get all of your thermal and night vision accessories, scopes, lights, everything you need, along with other predator hunting accessories. And then Scent Lock. Check out the B1 series. It's a new series out. The camo is just phenomenal. You can also get the heated vest. It's got a little button on the side by the pocket. Push that button and you're all warm again. So big shout out and thank you to all of our supporters, our partners, you know, and everybody that has made this podcast so much fun and so successful so far. And we're only, you know, this will be the 4th episode. So big shout out to all of you. Thank you. And let's get on with the podcast. Camouflage Addiction is proudly partnered with Buck Fever Seed Company, Coyote Cords, Predator Hunter Outdoors, and Scent Lock. All right, buddy. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, I can hear you.
Sweet. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Oh, I'm just peachy. My wife is in Southern Ohio right now. She's down there for gun season, so it's just me and the kiddos around the house. But at least I get to talk to you in peace.
There you go.
So, this is episode 4 of the podcast, and I wanted to get you on to the podcast as soon as possible because, you know, you've been, if not our biggest supporter, one of our biggest supporters, you know, at Camouflage Addiction. And I mean, we're completely honored to be, you know, part of your guys running your food plots. I know that Tyler and I ran some food plots last year, and honestly, in the spot that I had put my food plot, it probably wasn't the most ideal place to put it, but it still took off, and we had deer in there constantly, and it wasn't very big, which was my fault. I definitely should have made it bigger. But just the trail cam photos that we had, just almost instantly, as soon as it started coming up, I mean, it's almost like the deer just wouldn't let it grow. I mean, as soon as it started coming up, they were blowing it up. I know Tyler had good success over on his plot too. But talk to us a little bit about your seed. You know, you've got, I'm just going to run through them here quick. There's the Blueprint Mix, Nature's Roof, Purple Top Turnip, Foundations Trio, Punch List, Chicory, Deer Radish, Winter's Clover, Upland Mix, and the Supporting Wall. So talk to us a little bit about your seed and what's best about them.
Yeah. On the mixes that I put together, I chose to do some things that kind of complement each other, to try to put together some seed mixes that will work for guys like you, and for, you know, maybe people that don't have a lot of equipment and stuff like that, to be able to do some plots that help people maybe save a little time and money. So, for instance, I think like yours, we started off with some Nature's Roof in the spring, which is like a buckwheat and annual clover mix, and not only do the deer like it, but the buckwheat comes up really fast, helps with weed suppression, you know, if done in the right area and stuff, it can help with the weeds, and then it also adds a bunch of nutrients back into the soil and makes it perfect for a good fall planting, like the blueprint blend, is like turnips and radishes with, it's also got some brassica in it too, some hybrid stuff that produces a lot of leafy greens for like your early season stuff. So it works good for that. Also, like the punch list is a great one for a fall plot. It's got winter rye in it, and then some hybrid brassica, and then crimson clover in it, and that is a really good plot to plant in the fall, especially if you're going to try to lead into like a clover plot the next spring, because the crimson clover will come on strong the next spring and really make it easy to work that into like a true clover plot if you're wanting to go that route. So that was kind of my idea behind some of it. Of course, I have the pure seed mixes, or, pure seed in there too, like, your purple top turnip or your radish or your chicory or whatever. There's a pure seed just because a lot of people like things as a standalone, or they want to mix them with something else. But that's kind of the avenue that I went down, and it's been working really good so far that way.
Man, I seen some of the, well, just like I texted the other day about, that the dog had gotten out, and then he had gotten one of the bags out, and it had gotten into my driveway. And now keep in mind that my driveway is packed asphalt grindings. So, and I seen the other day where I've got a nice food plot growing in my driveway from where the dog had gotten it out.
That was good. I saw the picture you sent me. It was growing pretty good there. You should have some deer in your driveway in no time.
I'd have put a trail cam out there.
Yeah.
But I'd seen where, obviously Billy C, Wildest Dreams TV, he uses your guys' stuff too. And I seen that, I watched a video of his daughter killing her buck, over that plot. And man, I'm here to tell you that plot looks fantastic, especially for this time of year. I mean, I've never seen something so green and so much. It looks awesome. And so for those of you that have not went and visited Wildest Dreams TV, go do that. Billy's a good dude. Go check him out and watch that video of his daughter killing that buck. So, but also, Matt Jennings, I know that Matt's using your stuff as well, and some of the pictures that he's posting of the plots, it just looks phenomenal, which I talked to Matt last night. Matt's going to come on a podcast here soon. Also, if you guys haven't watched or checked out TheGame, Matt Jennings is TheGame, and go check out that Facebook, and obviously go check out Buck Fevers. Make sure you're giving them a like, and we're going to do a giveaway. We're going to announce some giveaway rules here in a little bit. But I kind of want to talk to you about the supporting wall. That's something that I've up until we partnered, that I had never heard of being planted or seen planted. Or I mean, is that just me, or is that just something that you had come up with on your own, to benefit the people that use it?
There's some other companies that have similar product. I mean, I can't deny that fact. There's other people will sell something as a plot screen. But I have chosen specifically to use the two. It's a hybrid sorghum mix is what it is. And both varieties of sorghum that I have chosen for that mix are designed for stock strength and standability, and they work really well. I mean, I'm here in central Iowa. We obviously get a lot of snow, wind. The fall can be damp and rainy at times. A lot of tough conditions, I guess. And the problem that people have had, or other varieties of a plot screen, are that after the first snow, or after, a really wet fall and some high winds, their plot screen is just not standing anymore. So I went about finding some product that is going to be tough and hardy and stand tall, even late into the fall, so it still works as a plot screen. Actually, Billy, that you mentioned before, his plot right now is a perfect example of that. I mean, we've had a couple of little snows up here already this year, and his plot screen is still probably standing 4 to 5 feet tall and just as thick as can be, so it's doing its job right now, and we're almost, we're past Thanksgiving now. So that's what I'm after, and my own. I've got out my own farm, and today even I looked at my lawn, and I've got spots that are still 6-7 feet tall in some areas. So that's what I went about doing, was finding some stuff that's going to last for everybody. So there's a lot of benefits to using a plot screen. You can use it. One, deer are creatures of edge. They like to follow the edge of things. So that plot screen around the edge of your plot makes a nice edge for them to follow. It also creates structure in your plot. So, they might have to, let's say, go around the end of it or something to get into an area, and you can use that almost like a plot design in your, to your advantage to try to put deer within bow range or within gun range or however you want to use it. It also obviously provides great security for them. So once they're in the plot, they feel secure in there, like nobody can see them, or vice versa. If you're trying to hunt a plot and you see one outside of the plot and you call to it, they're going to have to come in the plot to see what's going on because they can't see into it. So there's, it can be used a lot of different ways, I guess I'll say that.
Now, how do you, as far as planning wise, is there a certain, I guess I want to say depth or size of that wall that you want to plant? I guess what I'm getting at is, I can see how that can also double as like a bedding grass, places for them to go and bed right outside of the food source.
Yep.
I just didn't know if, is there a certain distance that you would recommend as far as planting that? As far, depth wise and how far out you want to plant it?
I try to do a minimum of like a 6 foot wide strip, and I like to even go like maybe 8 foot wide if possible, just because, like I said, that really helps with how it stands, because it can be thick that way. So try to do a strip that's probably 6 to 8 feet wide or wider if you want it that way. If you're going to try to use it like for bedding or for cover or something like that, would be better to go wider. And then depth-wise, people with drills can drill it, or honestly, you can just use something like a tiller or a disc or something and break your soil up, and then broadcast seed it, and then just roll it over with a cultipacker. Works the best, either a cultipacker or drive back and forth over it with an ATV or something. You need to get that seed in the soil pretty good. It's a bigger seed. It's similar to like a little bit smaller than like a bean seed maybe, but it's a larger seed, so it needs to be in the soil. Good soil contact. It's not like something like clover where it can lay on top and then just kind of work its way in with some rain. It should actually get some good soil contact.
Yeah. Well, that's just like, going back to the plot that I planted. I planted it on a piece of private. This year we're a lot more, our relationship with the landowner is a lot stronger than it was last year. Last year was like our first year actually hunting it. This year we're pretty close with the landowner. So, and we've already kind of poked about, getting some machinery in there and being able to put, a good plot in next year. But this past year I had reached out to you about the circumstances that I was in, and I wasn't able to get in. I wasn't able to, get machinery in there. I wasn't able to till this and that. And so what I ended up doing was I went in and where I put the plot at, there was already a lot of thick cover, but underneath the cover, it was kind of that cover that I can still see the dirt underneath.
Yep.
And it was almost like, it was just like a blanket. So I actually just went in with a weed eater and I knocked everything down. I took a garden rake in, and scraped everything to make sure I got down to the dirt. And I threw that seed out that you sent me, the mix that you had sent me, and it blew up. So I guess what I'm getting at is on certain things, and with some of this stuff, you can still be effective and not have the machinery that you see guys using all the time. Obviously some of this stuff is, you got to plant it. You got to get it into the dirt, make sure it gets into the dirt. But some of this stuff, like the stuff that I'd used, like I said, I just got down to the dirt, and I hand, threw some of the seed. I've got a seed thrower as well. And then I guess I just kind of walked around it and make sure I just kind of push it down a little bit. And then within, weeks, everything was popping up. And like I said, we put a trail camera on it, and you can see in the trail cam pictures, where when the food plot is just starting to come up, and then just the deer. We had a bachelor group of 6 different bucks that were in that food plot every single day. Kind of broke our hearts because one of the bucks that was in there was huge, and it's actually my wife's shooter buck. But when you get to that time of year, then they'll start moving their patterns. But we have seen to where they're coming back to that food plot, this time of year, where the rut's coming down and they're looking for those food sources and stuff like that. We're starting to see that those deer, that were once using that plot are starting to trickle back in, knowing that plot is there. So I just kind of want to touch base on the importance of, you don't necessarily have to have all the equipment to get, some of your seed in. And that's why I tell the listeners that to make sure they get a hold of you, and just kind of go over their situation. And then you'll be able to kind of take the reins and let them know what they need to do, what kind of seed you recommend them using, and how to benefit them in the future, with the steps they need to take moving forward, and stuff like that. So I do want to thank you for that, because, without your help, and doing that kind of stuff, I would not have had a plot last year.
Yeah, absolutely. Anybody can feel free to shoot a message either through the Buck Fever Facebook page, or if they have, my personal info, just shoot me a message. Obviously, I just like to chat deer hunting and anything habitat and food plot related, so I'm happy to talk about any of it for sure. But there are lots of options for doing food plots regardless of your equipment, like you said. The biggest thing in kind of the food plot industry that everybody's heard of is the, quote unquote throw and go type stuff. And honestly, like my punch list mix is going to be something that would work super for a similar type scenario of what you're talking about. Like, if you don't have the good, the big equipment or anything like that, honestly, if you can just get good seed to soil contact, as far as getting your weeds killed off and knocked down, you get that seed in before a good rain, and you'll have something, growing out of the deal. It's perfect for that kind of thing, and it won't have any filler seed in it. That's the big thing that it's hard to get out to people. So I hope people understand, the seed that they're buying from me is going to be pure seed, no filler seed, stuff like that. So you're not getting a bag of ryegrass. You're going to get good quality seed, I guess, in your stuff. That's one of the things that I keep trying to tell people is what you're getting is worth what you're buying. So
yeah, and I think that reason right there is going to be the reason that buck fever explodes even more than what it is. Obviously, with some of the guys that are using the seed and the success that they're having with it, I just, in my opinion, you can't replace it. You can go to the store and you can buy a bag of throw and grow like you talked about. But there again, you're going to get bags that have some of that filler seed in it. And, in my experience and from what I've seen, I've really not seen a food plot seed that has produced, as well as your seed has. So, I think that, obviously within the next year, I think buck fever is going to blow up, and then you're going to forget about us little guys.
That is completely untrue. No, I appreciate. I will tell you something, Jake. I really do appreciate not only you guys, but just the people that I met in our industry, and you can probably vouch for this being in it too. But just the people in the industry, let alone us. I'm a smaller guy too. I mean, I still strap on a tool pouch and go to work every day. But the seed company has just been a passion of mine, and I hope it does take off. But I'm definitely not going to forget about guys like where I started and where we're all at. I think I want to all grow together, I guess, and take good people to go along with you to do that. So
yeah, I think we're all heading in the right direction. It is a good feeling, especially knowing that you've got partners that are there with you and that are helping through the whole situation and helping everybody improve. And that in itself is just that's awesome to me. That's kind of what you hope for, I guess, when you decide to partner with somebody. You hope that they'll support you as much as you support them, and that has been nothing short of that since we came on board with you guys. So we really appreciate the opportunity, and we look forward to the future. I do want to talk about bobtail.
Yes, let's talk about it.
So I said in the intro that I was bringing you on and I wanted to talk to you about the bucket you killed bobtail. So just kind of run us through, and I did say that in the intro that they can find that video on Buck Fever's YouTube channel. But just kind of run us through that hunt, how it all unfolded. I know that you planned an all day set, and obviously he waited until late to come in, but it's cool to me, watching that kind of stuff, especially, you get in early, you sit all day long, you can see where you get your sandwich out, you have your lunch in the stand, and it just so happens that he comes in, later on. So just kind of walk us through that, and so the listeners can visualize the hunt.
Yeah, so I've got a stand on the property that is in just a really good travel corridor. I actually shot last year's buck out of that same stand, and it's just in a really good travel corridor. But it's just in a little low spot there, and you can't see it like in the video for anybody that goes and watches it. But just over the hill from that in the video, I have about a half acre of clover and then another acre of the Blueprint blend stuff, food plot out there. And then I have a mowed trail that I take with a pull behind mower behind my four-wheeler. And I mow this trail from those food plots over past this stand and headed on up to another piece of timber. And those deer come and they check those plots, and then they get on that trail and they walk right by me. Well, it's the hope and plan, and it seems to be working pretty well because it's worked for 2 years in a row now. But I get in, got in early that day and planned to sit all day on November 11th. So, you're right prime rut time, and that was the hope, was to catch somebody traveling or looking for does. And I sat, like you said, I sat all through the day. I seen a handful of other does through the day and a couple small bucks, and it was right there about 4 o'clock. I actually had a little buck come by me and right on that mowed path, and then he went up around behind me and was bumping a doe around up in the edge of a field up behind me. And I turned around, and 2 seconds later, this bobtail was jumping the fence and getting right there in front of me. So came right onto my mowed trail, and I basically had time to get the camera swung onto him and grab the bow and stop him to make the shot. But that's a deer that I've had on the farm for 3 years now, and he I actually do have one shed from him from the previous year, and he's had that. Obviously, I knew him as bobtail because he had the bobtail. You can see it in a handful of pictures that I've had for the last few years where his tail is just a stub. So I don't know what happened to it, but it made him easy to see, and he big body deer, big mature buck. And has been a clean 10-pointer for the last 2 years. Just didn't have that giant frame, but he's still, big mature deer, and I was happy to take him. So,
but you didn't even know that it was bobtail until after you had gotten to him.
Not until he ran up the hill. In the video, you can see when he runs up the hill to the top of the hill. When I finally get the camera back on him, you can see his stub. He just had his stub tail when he ran away from me, but I didn't know it was him until after I shot him and he turned and ran, basically. So
how far did he end up going? Because I know that, like in the video, like you'd said, that like when he jumped the fence and he was coming in, he was quartering to you. So your entrance was perfect.
Yep.
But it looked like the exit was a little far back, which is normal for, a 1/4 shot. How far did he end up going after he had dipped into the woods right there?
He went behind some cedar trees at the top of the little hill there in the video, and he probably only went another 40 yards beyond them cedar trees. So as the crow flies or whatever, he was probably less than 100 yards away from my tree. So he didn't go very far. I was a little nervous when I saw him turn and I saw that exit, but it turned out I walked up there to look for some blood, and it just looked like somebody flung a paint can. So I knew he wouldn't be very far.
Yeah, and you can see in the video too on that back side where the arrow was sticking out a little, far back, you could see where the amount of blood that was coming out of him. So
yeah. Usually
when you've got that much blood coming out of him, he's especially, going all the way through. Obviously your arrow was still sticking out the other side, but obviously when he loses that much blood, he can't go very far. But yeah, like I said, because your initial shot on that side was perfect. I don't think you could have asked for a better shot. It's just that 1/4 shot. Sorry, yep. But that's why I was just curious on how far he went after he dipped behind them cedar trees. But did you back out or anything?
I did. So after he ran up the hill and then disappeared, I waited for a little bit. Of course, I got on the phone with everybody or whatever and was all excited. And then I packed up my gear, and just because I didn't know exactly on that backside there, I ended up walking all the way back to the truck and obviously changed out of my hunting clothes and whatever, and then waited to come back in to find him. So I gave him it was probably an hour's time, an hour and a half maybe by the time I got back in there after him, just to make sure. But then, like I said, once I went up there to where he went across that by them cedar trees, I found enough blood. I thought, well, I'm going to go ahead and track him up. So
yeah. Well, good, man. I'm glad for you. It's a really good buck. Wish I could. I don't even think there's any bucks in Ohio right now, to be honest with you. None of them that are in my area anyway.
Yeah, you're going to get on one, or some of the other guys will get on one. Somebody's going to get one yet.
Man, I tell you what, Tyler's seen a couple good shooters. We actually had a nice buck come in. We were hunting a property that he hadn't hunted at all this year. In fact, he hasn't hunted it in the last 5 years. But we went in and we did a hang and hunt stand, and he'd come in and he never did give us a shot. Of course, we moved the stand down a little bit farther down the tree line where we had seen where the deer were coming in and out at. And he went out and got one of them cell cams, and he put his cell cam in front of his stand. And I'm not kidding you, man. Every time he's not in his stand, that buck is standing in front of it. It's like, obviously it's almost like they know. He did see the buck. The buck had come across a wide open field about I want to say 2 weeks ago.
Yep.
And the buck was closing. I mean, he had him at 50 yards, which with a bow, Tyler can shoot 60 yards all day long and be dead accurate, but that's also a guy that shoots every day of his life.
Right.
But that the buck was coming toward him. So obviously he wanted to get a closer shot. And by the time that he was getting everything situated, a pack of coyotes come out of the woods and chase that buck off. So we've been getting a lot of trail cam pictures of coyotes. So that's definitely something that we're going to have to take care of. But me, on the other hand, with having a wife and 2 kids, my wife, she likes to deer hunt, that's just what she does. She's just, and I always thought before her and I met, I thought, it'd be awesome to meet somebody that liked to do the same things I do. Until you meet that person, it's like, well, I get to hunt tonight if you get to hunt tomorrow, or I get to hunt tomorrow if you hunt tonight.
Right.
And it just seems like, but it's all good. I'm glad that she gets to do what she enjoys. And I'm a big turkey hunter anyway. I'm more of a turkey hunter anymore than I am a whitetail hunter. Usually if I'm whitetail hunting, I'm behind the camera, but she's seen a couple bucks. Justin's seen some bucks. He actually passed on a buck that he should have shot. The deer actually walked right underneath of his stand. And then he ended up shooting a coyote on that stand anyway. But speaking of turkeys, everybody,
I like to tease you with them,
yeah, everybody that's listened to our previous podcast knows that I am a turkey freak. And so I've got this partner of mine that keeps sending me these trail cam pictures of these turkeys out in his food plots. I'm serious when I say that I'm gonna come over there for a weekend and do some turkey hunting.
You should. I got plenty of turkeys out there, and you know what? I just don't seem to find time to chase them. So.
Well, I would like to, if there's an opportunity, I would like to get out with you. I mean, I don't even really care to anymore. I've killed so many birds that anymore, I really enjoy just calling them and letting other people shooting them. Tyler got his first bird last year. And then my wife got her first bird this previous year. Wasn't able to get Justin one, but Justin's about like you. When that time of year, he doesn't get time off much. Justin works construction. He's actually, he builds bridges. So that time of year is their prime time to where they're able to work weekends and stuff like that. So he gets out when he can, but I definitely want to make a trip over there. I got to figure out, is Iowa a turkey draw tag state, or is it just deer?
I think just for deer. I think you can get an out of the state over the counter turkey tag, if I'm not mistaken. Don't quote me on that, but if I'm not mistaken, I think.
No, I'll make some phone calls because I want to I'm going to end up buying a Iowa out of state license anyway, because next fall I do want to come over and do some pheasant hunting with you.
Yes, sir.
This year we had talked about it, but I'm not able to get over there because of things around here are a little crazy. So, but next year for sure, I do want to get over there. So either way, I'll be buying an out of state license. So I might as well buy me.
I'm down for you to come shoot some turkeys. That's for sure. Like I said, I'm normally starting to look pretty hard at the food plotting situation by the time turkey season is around. But yeah, you're more than welcome to come help me out with. We got a pretty good population on the farm, and they like those food plots too. So.
Yeah, I tell you what, I'll bring the calls and the camera. You just run the gun.
Okay, that's a deal.
That'll work. All right, man. Well, is there anything else that you wanted to go over? We're getting ready to go over the giveaway here, but I didn't know if there was anything else that you wanted to go over before we hit the giveaway, and then we close out.
No, I just want to say, like I said, I appreciate you guys and everything that you're doing. It's fun, keeping tabs on everybody over your direction on how their seasons are going and how their plots are doing and stuff like that. So I really do appreciate it, and I look forward to our continued partnership. So
yeah, we definitely appreciate the support that you've given us and the help and stuff like that, and just being able to watch, you grow and we're growing at the same time. That's cool to me, and I think that's something that needs to happen a little bit more in the outdoor industry. Everybody wants to be better than everybody else, and nobody really takes the time to appreciate the support and watch and enjoy others grow at the same time. time. So I think we've got something special going on, and I'm excited as well to continue and just see where the future goes for us.
Absolutely.
But with moving on here, we'll get on to this giveaway. I think I said in the last podcast that you sent us a box of, it's literally 20 pounds of product.
Yeah.
And I couldn't freaking believe it. I opened it up and I'm like, good God, this guy's nuts. So there's a couple hats in there, definitely some koozies. I am certainly rocking a Buck Fever Seed Company koozie on my nice and cold Bush Latte here.
That is good. Yes, sir.
And then there's some seed in there. Actually, there's there's 4 different bags there's 4 bags of seed. I'm sorry. There's 3 different types. There's the Blueprint mix that's in there. There's the Upland mix, and then there's 2 bags of the Supporting Wall. So I think that what we're going to do, because we've got so much of it, I think we're going to split it up. I think we're going to give some away on this podcast. We'll give some away on a future podcast. And we just kind of go about it that way. That way, more people are able to get some of the product and not just one person getting everything. So, what do you want to do? You want to do a bag of mix, and then a hat and stuff, or you think we should do a giveaway and then limit it to certain items, and then the winner of the giveaway gets to choose which items he gets, and then as the giveaways go on, obviously once we get to the end, then the winner will get what's left. But I mean, is that something that you think is cool to do, or is there a way that you want to do this? Because
no, I was going to leave it up to you guys to divvy out the product there. So you come up with something that works for what you want to do for a giveaway and have at it. So
okay, so what we'll do is we'll go ahead and we'll give away a bag of Supporting Wall. We'll do that one. And then we will give away a hat and a koozie on this one. We've also got some decals too. But on this one, we'll just do a bag of the Supporting Wall, a hat, and a koozie. Sound good to you?
Sounds good to me.
All right. And for the listeners, the way that you can win these are you must like Camouflage Addiction's Facebook page. You must have liked Buck Fever Seed Company's page, and then you must share this podcast. So that's the way that we'll do it. Once, let's say, we'll do this giveaway until, let's say, Saturday. So we'll say until Wednesday. We'll give it until Wednesday. Wednesday at, we'll say, 8:00 is when we'll go ahead and close that out. So you can get I guess you can only do one entry on this one unless we did it to where they had to tag some folks. Let's do this. Okay, so the winner has to like Camouflage Addiction's page, has to like Buck Fever Seed Company's page, has to share the podcast, and has to tag 3 friends in the podcast comments. We'll do that because the amount of stuff that we've got to give away is, it's worth that. So with the comments, you have as many entries as you want. Each 3 friends is 1 entry. So
sounds good.
And then I will, once we do, and we'll do a drawing. I'll actually go live with the drawing. We'll get all the names into the computer. We'll let the computer decide who wins. And then, I will get a hold of the person that wins, and then we will get the stuff sent out. Once we figure out who wins, then obviously I'll contact you, make sure that they've liked your page, and then make sure that all the other criteria was met, and then we'll get some freebies sent out to them.
And somebody will have some good product.
Some good product. And then, like I said, we've got enough to do 3 giveaways. So we'll do some more giveaways in the upcoming podcasts. And like I say, even, the giveaways, man, I can't thank you enough for the support you've given the podcast. We're real excited about the podcast because it gives us an opportunity to still talk hunting. It gives us an opportunity to, still be able to talk back and forth with our partners and especially this year, because the deer season has just been so crazy, with the weather. And I mean, it's November, and it was, I was almost in a t-shirt the other day deer hunting. So, when stuff like this, in certain areas, deer movement's a little slower, and with the podcast, it allows us to still, talk about our partners' products. It allows us to still talk to our partners and talk with other outdoors men and women, and it's going to be a really good thing. I think it's going to blow up pretty quick. You can find the podcast on Facebook, YouTube, and as of last night, we are on Spotify. Within the next couple of days, I've already submitted all my information and everything to iTunes. So we're looking at the next couple of days, we'll be on iTunes. So you'll be able to find us on iTunes then too. So, but like I say, with the amount of stuff that you're giving away and stuff like that to support the podcast, man, I cannot thank you enough for the support.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And, like I said, podcast is fun to listen to. So I hope everybody checks it out.
One more time to win the Buck Fever Seed Company giveaway. We're doing a bag of supporting wall, we're doing a hat, and we're doing a koozie. How you can win that is you must like Camouflage Addiction's page, you must like Buck Fever Seed Company's page, you must share this podcast and tag 3 friends in the podcast. And then we'll do the drawing Wednesday at 8 o'clock, and then somebody will be getting some good product. So, all right, Jeff. Well, I appreciate your time, buddy, and I look forward to talking to you again in the near future.
Yep, let's do it. Thanks, Jake. Thanks, everyone.
All right, man. We'll see you later.
Bye.
Yeah, make sure you guys are checking out Buck Fever Seed Company. Jeff's a good dude, and he'll really take care of you. So that's going to end it for this episode. This is episode 4, Buck Fever Seed Company. Again, make sure that you get your entries in for the giveaway. And then we'll get it sent out to you. So as always, I appreciate all of our supporters. We just can't do this without you guys. And we're excited about the podcast, and it's taken off, and, we're just so thankful. So again, thank you. And, y'all have a good one. See ya.